Hello and welcome to this episode of Jacked Up Being Frank. I'm your host, Jack Munich, here with my co-host, Frank Arenio, and today we'll be breaking down all the NFL action, including a thrilling Jets game that ended up with them losing, and then we'll switch into baseball with it getting down to October and the Mets and Mr. Arenio's Red Sox, and then we'll get into preview the Giants versus Chiefs game tonight, which is a huge game. I mean, both teams can't really go 0-3 because then it's just like I mean, there's things about it when you go 0-2 and there's not really big playoff chances for you. But once you go 0-3, I mean, your season's basically over when it comes to odds. But yeah, I mean, let's get into it. Let's start with the Jets game. I mean, Mr. Arenio, that's your favorite team. I mean, it was a very collapsing loss. I mean, where a lot of things really went the Jets' way, but they still ended up losing.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to start with they lost the game. I don't go along with I don't agree with the mindset or the mentality or the people that say, oh, well, they played hard, they fought back, you're seeing good things early in the season. They're 0-3. Like, is it not about wins and losses? And look, I know it's the Jets, and I know they're not. Like, what are they exactly doing? Are they rebuilding? Are they retooling? Like, where are they? Like, I don't get where the franchise is at. They went all in with Aaron Rodgers. It didn't work out. Now it's like, it's not a rebuild, but what is it? But they're 0-3. So it's like, I get sick of I get sick of it with this notion that, oh, we got to take all these positives, from the first game and the third game. There were basically no positives in the second game against the Bills. But the Steelers game particularly, I mean, the Steelers game was a lot better game for the Jets than today. I mean, today they're down 23-6. Yeah, they came back in the fourth quarter. They got the block field goal, which is a great play. But, the game was over, but it wasn't. Tampa Bay was lined up for a field goal to go up 9, game over. Tampa Bay couldn't convert to end the game on third down. So, a lot of it was on Tampa Bay's end, Tampa Bay trying to give the game away. Let's not give the Jets that much credit. Tampa Bay couldn't put the game away. They eventually did win it at the end. But it's like, I look, I don't know the percentage of Jets fans or the percentage of people out there that are saying that, it's, there's a lot of positive to take, even though they're 0-3. But I totally disagree with it. They're 0-3, and I don't see where this is going as a franchise. Like, what is this building towards? They're not this team in total rebuild, but they're not a team that's a competitor in any way for a playoff spot or anything close to it. So it's like, what are they? I feel like it's a waste of time to watch them. They at least with the Giants have Jackson Dart and a semblance of them moving in a direction. And I'm not trying to paint a real positive picture with them either. But for the Jets, it's like, what is this? And I just can't get all excited because they made a comeback in a game that they still lost. And Tampa Bay came down the field with ease. It was like, all right, the Jets blocked the kick. Nice play. Aaron Glenn's going crazy on the sideline. Honestly, I'm going to criticize that. I don't know if anybody else has done this, but he's going crazy. It's like, dude, there's a minute 40 or something left in the game. I know you're excited about the execution of the play, but you didn't win the game. The Jets are so bad that they get excited about a play or something happening that wasn't even them coming out victorious. It's the whole thing, I can't find the positive in the Jets. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. Even week 1 after that game, I'm like, okay, yeah, they played pretty well, but they made mistakes that cost them. Same thing in this game. They turned the ball over 2 times. They didn't, offensively, it's like, all right, Tyrod Taylor, he turned it over twice, right? He's the one to turn. So it's like, he showed some things today, but he's a backup quarterback. He's he's a lifetime backup quarterback. He's a career backup quarterback. I get tired of hearing about Tyrod Taylor. Oh, he's the best backup quarterback. He's a backup quarterback. I mean, let's pipe down there. And it's just whether he's quarterbacking them, Justin Fields is quarterbacking them. I don't see what there is to be. I know it's not nothing to be positive about, but it's I don't see the people that are seeing this growth from the Jets. They're actually building towards something now. They're not. It's just they are a losing franchise. They lose. That's what they do. In Tampa Bay, almost gave the game away, but you know what? When it mattered most, again, Baker Mayfield, right? It's 3 times now in the first 3 games he's
And
led
that's a
the Bucks
winning player. And that's
down
a
the
winning
field at the
player
end of the
versus
game.
yeah.
He does it, Jack. He does it with ease. I mean, that guy's where does he rank in terms of quarterbacks in the NFL now? Like he's beyond
Very
top
high.
10. Like what is he? You have to go through them, but like he's in the top 25% of quarterbacks in the NFL. He does it with ease. Like as soon as the Jets took the lead, I'm sorry. Like I just said to myself, they're going to lose. Like Tampa Bay's coming down to score. So who cares? Who cares what they did before that? They still lost the game. I know I get animated about it because it's like losers lose. The Jets are just a loser team, and they've been for just about all of their history. And like to me, there's nothing I'm seeing that says there's anything changing. And I'm sorry, like Aaron Glenn, look nice. You block the kick, you return it. I understand that that's exciting, but just the look of it. I don't know if you saw his celebration, but it's like, dude,
Yeah.
like he preaches discipline and all this stuff, and I like him. I'm a fan of him, and I'm fine with the hire. Like, give him a chance. Like, maybe he's the guy. He's really up against it being the Jets head coach. But I just didn't I watched as soon as he did. I'm like, dude, there's a minute and 40 seconds left. You got to stop Baker Mayfield and the Tampa offense that goes down the field at will to win games. And you know what? You didn't do it. What
Yeah,
do
and I
you
don't think
think,
they
Jack?
had Mike.
I went on for like 6 minutes there, but it's like, come on. They're 0-3. They stink.
Yeah, and they didn't, and the Buccaneers didn't even have. I don't think they had Baker Mayfield on the last drive, or maybe got hurt on that last. Whatever they went down. The Buccaneers went down. I mean, they didn't. I mean, they didn't
They
have
had
Mike
Mayfield,
Evans.
though.
Mike
They had
Evans. They
Mayfield.
didn't have
Evans
Mike
got
Evans.
hurt. Yeah. Evans got
Mike
hurt
Evans.
on that drive.
Yeah.
On that drive or the drive before? I forget. But anyway, they had Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you, like Mike Evans is as great. He's an elite receiver. But it's like, but the Bucks are good. They're not great, but they're good. They're on their way to being very good. Baker Mayfield's very good. Like again, like yeah, the Bucks. I'm sure they're going to address things like, hey, these games have been too close for comfort. They got to play better. They know that, but you know what though, Jack? They're 3-0. They're 3-0. So it's like they're 3-0. The Jets are 0-3. And as Bill Parcells said many years ago, you are what your record says you are. It really does come down to that. You are what your record says you are, and you just see one team that's 3-0, one team that's 0-3. So the Jets can have their moral victories and feel good that they persevered, even though Tampa Bay was largely responsible for the Jets getting back in the game. And you know what? You lost the game. You're the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, it was like Aaron Glenn celebrated like how the Eagles celebrated when they won off of that blocked touchdown. Like when
the
they
Eagles
blocked
won. Great point.
Yeah.
The Eagles blocked the kick, but that was to win the game. The game
Yeah.
was over.
Yeah. Like that's
It's a big difference.
Yeah. Like that's how I felt like they celebrated with 140 left and Baker Mayfield's on the other side with enough time and has enough weapons, and they know that already. And they can get down.
Baker's at a point in his career, like he's just calm and cool. It's like, okay, well, we get the ball, we're going to go down and score. Well, they did it with ease. And we always hear about the Jets defense. The Jets defense, which where's the Jets defense been? Okay, you just look at the scoreboard. What is it? 34 points week 1, 30 points week 2, 29 points week 3. Okay, and you know what? The Jets defense couldn't make the stop when they needed it most. They just, no matter what you say, we hear about the Jets' talent, the talent here, the talent here, the talent. They lose because they don't know how to put together the talent. And then certain areas, they lack talent or injuries, whatever. Everybody has injuries. You just, again, scoreboard, record, 0-3, stink.
Yeah, and they got it really, They got into perfect field position for McLaughlin to hit a 36-yarder. I mean, this was like, I saw someone say, "Oh, in my when I was my group chat say like, oh, the Jets should be 2-1. They shouldn't be any record because they play like an 0-3 team.
No, I so disagree with that. They,
Yeah.
not like the word is could have, but they're not because they're a losing franchise and nothing has changed yet. Now, again, maybe Aaron Glenn changes. I don't know. I'm not going to say have zero hope. Like if you're going to watch and you're a fan, you got to have some hope. But I have as little hope as you possibly can as a fan, and I don't see how you have hope in the Jets. Anything more than just a minimum hope because you hold on to it because you're a fan. There's nothing there to make you feel hopeful.
Yeah, there's really
after being great in the run game, the first game. What did they do today and against the Bills?
they did nothing on the what they do on the ground.
Yeah, I mean today.
They
I
did
mean
nothing. I mean, Brees
the
Hall
running
really
back.
didn't
So
do
Taylor
anything.
had 48 yards as the quarterback.
Hall in game one was really good, but besides that,
They did nothing last week. I
yeah,
don't remember the numbers. They did nothing. I mean, they did nothing. They did nothing at all in that game. But
yeah,
today, Brees Hall was 9 for 21, and Braylon Allen was 6 for 30. So that's 15 for 51. I mean, you're talking 3.5 yards a carry. I'm not counting the quarterback rushing. So yeah, great, you got those yards, but your running backs, like you did nothing the last 2 weeks after having a great game on the ground the first week. So there's regression there.
and you're gonna have to win on the ground for the Jets with those quarterbacks. I mean, as good as Justin Fields, I mean, whatever people think Justin Fields could be, I mean, you're gonna have to win on the ground with him and your running game, and that's how you're gonna win with Justin Fields, and especially with Tyrod Taylor, who can't really, who's a backup quarterback. He can't really throw the ball that well. I mean, it was 197 today. He had 197 yards today, passing yards, 197 passing yards. So you have to win on the ground with those players, and they just haven't been able to do it since week one, which was their highest scoring game. I mean, granted, they won the game on. I mean, they didn't win the game; they haven't won a game, but they scored a lot of points from playing the game on the ground.
Yeah, like you said, they're going to have to run the ball. In the last 2 games, they didn't run the ball with their running backs. Even the passing game, like Taylor was 26 for 36, but he only had 197 yards. And they 5.5 yards per catch. I mean, come on, that's not cutting it. It's even okay. He completed 26 passes at 36. Like, it's a good percentage, but you get 5.5 yards a pass.
Yeah, you're basically dinking and dunking it all the way down the field, and it just won't work. Against the Tampa team, you're going to need some explosive plays against them, and they didn't get one. I mean, the only explosive play they got was the block kick return, and that was their most explosive play of the day, and that was
And you know what? Honestly, like I mean, look, it was a great play. Who was it? Whatever the guy's name is, who
Will
came
McDonald.
up. McDonald. Okay, great. Like, he's very athletic. Great play. Okay, but it's like it's kind of that's like something that happens once a year. Like, okay, again, I know I'm just like I'm piling on the Jets, but it's like it's kind of a fluky thing, meaning like that you can't count on something like that to happen at the end of games. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna keep it close. We're gonna block a field goal, block a punt. Like, okay, like great play, and you could have won the game, but you know what? When it came down to it, the Bucks got the ball with 1:40 to go. They had 2 timeouts. They were right in position, and it was cake for them. It was a piece of cake. Like, no problem.
Yeah, because that defense was Swiss
Well,
cheese.
you think the Jets would have went down the field and scored if they were down 1 with 1:40 to go and 2 timeouts? It's clearly not. Yeah, I get to a point like I don't even know what else to say about the Jets. Like and here's another thing, I don't find them interesting because they're going nowhere. Like I don't like it's.
I don't think they want.
Brees Hall. Okay, well 9 for 21 today, and I know that it's the offensive line and the problems there. Okay, Garrett Wilson had his day, 10 for 84. We know how talented he is. We know how good he is, but there's not much else there. They're just, you add it all up, and they're just a losing team. And
Well,
they're 0-3, which is, it's pretty much what I think a lot of people thought they'd be. I thought they'd be 0-3 with this schedule. And again, like I'm saying, like I'm not expressing optimism, but before the year, I said, you know what? I think Aaron Glenn will get the most out of the team, and they'll go 8-9. Like I went high end with them. Like, all right, he'll get the most out of them, and they'll surprise people and kind of grind through the season. No way. I mean, they're headed for what, 5-12. I mean, they're not even coming close to 8 wins. You're a fan, like you try to be objective. I don't think I was objective with that pick. It was kind of just holding on to hope. New coach, new GM. All right, Justin Fields will be all right. No, I mean, this is heading towards like a 5-12 year. Another waste. They won't even get one of the top draft picks. It's 5-12. It's probably gonna be like a 5th or 6th pick. You got to lose 13, 14, 15 games, which I bet you that doesn't happen. They're going to get enough wins where it's like, they'll pick high in the draft, but they won't be in the certainly not the top 3. I don't think so.
Yeah, because I feel like they don't want to. They haven't gotten in a path of either they're going to be competitive or non-competitive because they don't want to rebuild because they've rebuilt for such a long time and they've lost so much,
Yep.
but they're going to lose either way. But they don't understand that. They don't understand they're going to lose either way.
Right. What is their direction? They're not in a total rebuild. And like you said, it's they haven't made the playoffs, and it'll be 15 years now, right? At the end of the season, it'll be 15 years. The longest drought in North American sports, of the 4 major sports. So it's like, what are you doing? Like you're not in a rebuild. You're not going for it. Like they're just out there. Like it's just there's no real path forward. It's just like they're kind of hoping, okay, Aaron Glenn's going to come in and change the culture and get them to play tough, physical, disciplined football. He talks about playing with violence. Okay, great. Like, that's all like football cliche. And again, I'm fine with the hire. I get it. And maybe he does a job, but he's a first-time head coach and he's coaching the New York Jets. That's a daunting task. So the odds are he'll probably wind up like the rest of the Jets head coaches. He'll be the coach for 3 or 4 years, and he'll get fired because they don't win, and then it'll be the next guy up.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a very hard job. I mean, you walk in, you have Justin Fields. I mean, your quarterback, you never know how good he really is. I mean, they kind of just took a flyer on Fields. That was their thing, is that maybe he could be good, maybe he won't. I mean, they kind of just, took a flyer on him, and that's what QB Aaron Glenn's get. I mean, I think he's been dealt a bad hand. I think that he could be a good head coach in the league. I think that his style works, but
yeah, I think he could be, but he's the Jets head coach. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's I mean, certainly this season's not going anywhere. But you need the quarterback. I mean, they just start with that, and they don't have the quarterback. They kicked Aaron Rodgers to the curb and said, I mean, Aaron Glenn personally told him, like, you're not the guy. And he said face to face. Like, I give him credit for telling him face to face. He said, you're not the guy. So then Justin Fields is the guy, and the team's 0-3.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that it was the right move to get. I don't think Rodgers was. I mean, I was just like, get rid of Rodgers and go into a rebuild. I mean, why would they try to I don't know, try to hover between, if you're gonna get rid of Rodgers, you're getting
of the
fan
and media pressure that the fans and the media are not going to accept the rebuild because they're like, all right,
yeah,
you missed the playoffs 14 years in a row, and we're in New York, like we're expecting to be competitive. So, you have that.
Well, yeah, and that's why they don't want to go in a rebuild because if they go in a rebuild, then that's what's going to happen. So they try to like mask it up, say maybe Justin Fields could be a player that can get us 8 wins. That's what you said earlier about your predictions. What they exactly want to be. They want to be an 8-9 team, which is
And what
scary. That's
good does
even
that do
worse.
them? What good does that do them? Like I said,
It
eight
keeps
and
them out of the
nine.
media spotlight. That's what it does. I mean, that's what they want.
But it's like what you're not going to make the playoffs at 8 and 9. And like that was really the team's ceiling. Like I said 8 and 9 again. Like I regret doing it because like I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try to be optimistic here. Aaron Glenn's gonna get the most out of them, and Fields will be all right. There's talent there, and it'll just be competitive. But then it's like, all right, so you're 8 and 9, and you're gonna draft in the middle of the draft. And you're just stuck in that mediocrity, which they haven't even been mediocre. Like they've been bad as a franchise. Like mediocre would be good for them, but then when you decide that like that's going to be your year, like you're just going to try to reach mediocrity, well then you're probably just going to stay stuck in mediocrity. So Jack, I don't know. They're so far off. And again, I don't buy the people saying, "Oh, they were so close against Pittsburgh and Tampa, and they could have easily been 2-1." No, they're 0-3. They turn
Yeah,
the ball over. They don't make plays in big spots. They don't get stops when they need them. They didn't get the stop against Pittsburgh. I know it's a 61-yard field goal, but guys make field goals like that. That's the modern NFL. Okay, so you didn't get the stop, and you didn't get the stop today.
and that's what a lot of teams say is that, oh, we could have been this. Like, I mean, we talked about the Giants, and I was like, you know what, Brand? I mean, that's 64-yard. That happens. I mean, cover the middle of the field better.
Yeah,
Like,
well, yeah, that one play where they just left the middle of the
yeah,
field wide open cost them.
yeah,
They probably would have won the game, the Giants, if they just went with different coverage there.
yeah, cover the middle of the field. Like that's what losing teams do. They make mistakes and what I mean, you could see on the flip of the side of the coin is what Tampa Bay does. I'm not saying Dallas is a winning team, not doing it, but what Tampa Bay does. Tampa Bay is a winning team. Um, Tampa Bay capitalized, went right down the field. Like that's what winning teams. Well, I mean, they got blocked, and they just didn't make a mistake. They were lock solid for the last 1 minute 40 seconds of the game.
Yeah, calm and cool under pressure. They had a horrible special teams play, and to the Jets' credit, the Jets made a great special teams play. So it's both sides of it. So Jets, great special teams play. They take the lead. They're going crazy. And you saw Aaron Glenn's reaction. And look, I don't want to be too hard on him, but Jack, I'm telling you, as soon as I saw him react like that, like it wasn't even the emotion of like him being pumped up. Okay, fine. But then like he did like some sort of like dance. And like, what are you doing? You're a head coach in the NFL. And then they panned to Baker Mayfield. And it's like Baker Mayfield's like, he gets his helmet and he's like, okay, I'm going. March team down the field, kick a field goal, we win. It's like he just oozed the confidence and the focus and just the know-how to go out there and do what they needed to do. Like to me, that just paints the picture of where the Bucs are at. They're not great, but they're good. They could possibly be very good. They've had close calls, but you know what? They're winning the games. They're 3-0 now, and they'll get better from here. Okay, the Jets, on the other hand, they're celebrating like they won the game, and then it winds up they don't win the game.
Yeah, the high step. Yeah, it's a ridiculous celebration.
I mean, check this out, the head coach of the team. And he's a guy talking about discipline and accountability and like, look, I get the emotion, like you're pumped up and you came all the way back, like great. And I don't mind him getting excited. It's just that like the after like that, I got to see it again, but like he did like some sort of dance, like the players do now.
Yeah, I mean, he did it like yeah, and then I think he went to like his coach, and then went to another coach, and then
I
just
just think
like
it was way over the top. You're talking about you're talking about discipline. Well, you know what? You got to get yourself under control Because you got to know, like, okay, now it's 26-26. Now we got to make the extra point, which should be made, but they're not total gimmies like they used to be. So it's like, okay, got to make the extra point now. And then we got to get a stop against a team that's driven down the field to win the game at the end of the game the first 2 weeks. It just shows you what the Jets are. And you know what? Aaron Glenn can learn from it. I'm not like Aaron Glenn's not the reason why they lost, but it just and he wasn't the only one who celebrated like crazy. And again, I get you're celebrating, but you know, like the winning teams, they'll celebrate, but then it's like, okay, we gotta go to the next play. We know now that we have to get a defensive stop.
Yeah. It looked like they thought the game was over, which confused me. I mean, it kind of confused me. They were,
And like I'm going back to Aaron Glenn. Like, if the special teams coach is doing that, maybe like it's your unit and you practice that, and who's it? McDonald again comes through. Like, okay, like maybe special teams guy. All right, but the head coach has to. Maybe a fist pump, get a little excited, and then put the finger up, like go for. And he was still celebrating. He should have been like what the coaches do, like they put the number one up to go for one, right? Like he should have been on to that. Like, okay, we just tied the game, we got to go for one, and then he has in his mind, there's a minute and 40 to go, got to get the defense ready to go. I just think it shows where they're at, what they're about.
Well, they're about moral victories, and that's.
Because I think they walk in their building every day in Florham Park, and it's just they have this rotten losing culture, and it's just it infects the whole place. And I know Aaron Glenn is trying to undo that, and get it going in the right direction. But I'm not gonna get excited about being close against Pittsburgh and against Tampa Bay, because really against Tampa Bay, like they were down 23-6 going to the fourth quarter. Like they weren't in the game. Yeah, big comeback, sure, but it's not like this was a game where they were neck and neck with Tampa the whole game. They weren't. So don't forget about the first three quarters. So the first three quarters, and then the last minute 40, which was the most important part of the game. And then against Pittsburgh, you lit it up offensively, but you had that one turnover on a kick that really cost you because the ball was not properly secured. Yeah. And then you didn't make the stop at the end. And then the Buffalo game was just a total embarrassment, a disgrace. And you see how far off they are from the best team in the division and one of the top three teams in the NFL. They're not even close. They're nowhere near Buffalo. I mean, they're not even near the teams that are going to be the wild cards, the last team to get in the playoffs this year. But in terms of like what you got to do to compete for a championship, like it's laughable for me to even say that about the Jets compete for a championship. They're not even in the same universe as those teams.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean it shows. They played against Tampa, and Tampa was up for a lot of the game. Felt like they were in control of that game. I mean, Tampa, Pittsburgh, those are teams that are gonna make the playoffs, and they aren't gonna be. They both aren't like juggernauts, but they're gonna make the playoffs in the AFC, and or I mean the Steelers are gonna make the playoffs in the AFC, and they are teams that aren't juggernauts, but you see what happens to them against the Jets. I mean, they're just less turnover prone. I mean, they're less mistake prone, and they play football smarter.
And the Steelers are a great franchise. They haven't been great in recent years, but they still are competitive every year. They make the playoffs most years. They're 2-1 now. They beat New England today after a loss at home to Seattle last week, but they're 2-1. They find ways to win. They're not great, but I'm with you. I think Pittsburgh will be in the playoffs. I don't see them making a big run, but they're there. They always are there. They're always competitive. They don't have losing seasons. they know how to win. They have a real operation in Pittsburgh that just produces winning, and the Jets are the total opposite. Why don't we move? We did 30 minutes on the Jets. Why don't we go to another team, a team that rhymes with Jets? That's another franchise that I don't think they're as bad as the Jets, but there's a lot of history of losing there too, and they're in the midst of a monumental collapse. So the New York Mets, your team, Jack, talk to us. What's going on there?
It's not good at all. I mean, you drop another series to the Washington Nationals. I thought in Game One it was going to be a take care of business series. I mean, again, Nationals and the Mets are basically the same teams the second half of the season. But at the end of the day, it's a take care of business series. But they couldn't get it done again, and they lose the series. And as I said, I mean, it's gonna be a road to the playoffs. I mean, it's not gonna be easy for them. They're what are they? One game up
Well,
on
they're now tied with Cincinnati for the last spot.
tied with Cincy.
Cincinnati's won 5 in a row. Cincinnati just swept the Cubs. So Cincinnati, who I thought was done, I think we said on the program last week that Cincinnati was done, but they're clearly not. And then you have Arizona is a game and a half behind both the Mets and the Reds. Giants are 3.5 out. So you can say the Giants are done. The Giants have just had a miserable season. Very disappointing for them, especially after the Devers trade. Them looking to go all in. But anyway, Cincinnati and the Mets are tied. Jack, they lose 2 out of 3 to Washington, who's 30 games under 500. And yesterday's game where the Mets came back, they scored 2 in the 8th, and then they scored in the 9th, and they had bases loaded, 1 out. And then they didn't score anymore. I'm trying to think of the sequence there, but they had bases loaded, 1 out. Citi Field's going crazy. Like you just gotta hit a fly ball to the outfield or punch a ball through the hole with the drawn in infield. They couldn't do it. And then the 10th inning, neither team scored, and then Washington scores 2 in the 11th, and the Mets lose. Like that's as bad as it gets. I mean, to not win that game, and I didn't see the game today. I was tracking it again. I was watching the Jets, kind of tracking the games in general. But I was not watching the Mets game. But they fell behind 3-0. Same thing they did yesterday, and then 3-2. They made 2 errors in the game. I mean, it's as bad as it gets.
It's as bad as it gets, and they just keep putting themselves behind the 8 ball. I mean, you give 3 runs in the first, and this pitching and it just continued, just fell. I mean,
I see this. Arizona is up 6-0 on the Phillies.
Yeah.
So barring a big comeback from the Phillies, Arizona will be 1 back of the Mets and the Reds. So you have a 3-team race now. But continue on.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said about it. The Mets could definitely just drop out of the playoffs. I've seen it before, and yeah, I mean, against the Nationals, they lose a series they definitely could have. I mean, they should win, and it's because of the pitching. It's because of the runners in scoring position, and just the blatant just stupid nature of the team. The team is just it isn't in sync right now, and it was in sync earlier in the season, but that was early in the season, and now they've just shrunk and just unraveled. It's hard to watch this team continue to lose every day in and day out.
Yeah,
it's not one. You can't point out one thing that's been bad. It's been a lot of pitching, starting pitching. I mean, bullpen. You go out and get all these bullpen arms. They haven't done anything. The hitting. I mean, the hitting's been fine, but in a game like this, you only give your team 2 runs.
Yeah, and then yesterday, them just not being able to punch home
Yeah,
that final run. I mean, they haven't won a game this year when trailing going into the ninth. I
yeah,
think it's 0-66 now. They showed it yesterday in the ninth, 0-65, and they were on their way to getting their first win. After trailing through 8, but they haven't done that once this season. And it's a situation where the teams that are competing with them, like, they're not good. I mean, the Mets, even as bad as they've been, if they just played a little bit better, which wouldn't even still be anywhere close to good, they'd be comfortably in the playoffs. But they're in real trouble now. I mean, I'm looking up tiebreakers. So Arizona and the Mets split their season series 3-3. The next tiebreaker after head-to-head is your record within your division, which right now the Diamondbacks hold that tiebreaker. But that could change because it's close enough. But just right now, Arizona has a tiebreaker with the Mets, but it could change. And then Mets and Reds season series. Looking at that. Cincinnati won it 4-2. So Cincinnati has the tiebreaker over the Mets. So that's huge. You don't
yeah,
have tiebreaker games anymore. I mean, so that is enormous. So right now, the Mets are not in the playoffs. Right now, Cincinnati has that spot via the tiebreaker.
yeah. The Met. That's what I said last episode. I said that this is a team that could definitely keep losing and fall out of the playoff spot. And I thought that it was like you thought that it was a done. I think you kind of were like, oh, we're gonna give like the edge to the Mets, but I was like, really, like that, like
Yeah, I just thought the Mets had the edge because the rest of the teams aren't good. Like the other teams, like they're not gonna do what it takes to get a playoff spot. Like, look, the Reds just swept the Cubs, so they stepped up here. But the Reds, they've been so up and down. They're a mediocre team. But the Mets shouldn't be a mediocre team. The Reds are the difference. Like for the Reds to be in this, like this is a positive year for the Mets, for the Reds. It'd be disappointing now for the Reds if they don't make the playoffs. Like they have the upper hand now. But much different spot for the Reds than the Mets. Like the Mets had these expectations coming into the year. It was World Series or bust. I mean, for the Mets
yeah,
to miss the playoffs this year is just a total disaster. I mean, it's man, I don't know. Like I don't know if it's worse. I mean, 07 was brutal. They had a 7-game lead over the Phillies with 17 to go. So you can't say it's worse than that. But with the expectations, like, the 07 Mets had really high expectations. They were coming off a great 06, which, they had the heartbreaking loss of Cardinals in Game 7 of the LCS in 06. But anyway, like the Mets in 07 had really high expectations, so that was brutal. So I don't know if this is as bad as that, but man, it's almost as bad as it gets.
yeah.
And then for the franchise, like if they miss the playoffs here, like where do you go from here? Like that's tough to rebound from.
It's tough, and then you start talking off season, and you start talking moves that shake up your team, but that's when you get into that point where the Mets are supposed like no, I'm not. This might be bad choice of words, but they're like they think that they should be in like you know they shouldn't even be fighting for a playoff spot. That's what they think. That's what
They
this.
should be fighting for a division title.
Yeah,
with their preseason expectations, they should be fighting for a division title. I mean, there were expectations for this team like they should easily win the division, which I didn't buy into. I actually thought the Braves would win the division this year. I wasn't even close. But who saw the Braves having this sort of season? Nobody saw that coming. But I didn't think the division was going to be easy by any means. There was some people like, oh, the Mets are going to run away with the East. I thought pump the brakes on that, but the Mets would easily make the playoffs. I think the Mets have to make the playoffs here just to save the current state of the franchise. Like missing the playoffs here will just devastate the Mets franchise.
Yeah, I just think that you get in, you play the Dodgers. And you get demolished. I don't see the point. I don't see why you need.
But I think making the playoffs, you have to make it because at least if they make it, yeah, they had a very disappointing year, but you made the playoffs. You missed the playoffs in this fashion with this sort of collapse, and that's what it would be. They were 45-24, and it's not even just about what's going on right now. Late in the season, it's what they've done for at least the last 3 months, 3.5 months, and the fact that they were 45-24, whenever that was, like mid-June. So they're 35-52 since then. They have to make the playoffs. Again, I think just to save the franchise, save the path they're trying to go on where they're changing the culture of the franchise, which I thought they had done. I think a lot of people had thought that, but it's like, what is this? Like, how does this happen?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, you could put it on, this is you could say it's just another year we made the playoffs. When we're looking 10 years down the line or something like that, it's another year the Mets went and made the playoffs. And
because here, I'll build my case here. You go back to the Mets in 07 and 08, the collapse of 07. One of the biggest in the history of baseball. Has to be top 3 probably. This is the 64 Phillies I know about. The biggest regular season collapses. Oh, my 2011 Red Sox are up there. Even it was the 2011, who was that? The Braves. It was 2 of them that year. But those are some epic ones. 78 Red Sox. There's other ones in there too. I think the Cubs had some really big ones. But the Mets had the collapse in 07, and then in 08 they missed the playoffs on the last day of the year. And how about this, Jack? In 07, the Mets lost to the Marlins at home, last game of the year to miss the playoffs. In 08, they lost to the Marlins, last game of the year to miss the playoffs. And 08 was I guess a semi-collapse where 07 was a total collapse. And then after that, so 07, 08, the Mets didn't make the playoffs again until 2015. So that's what I'm talking about. It's like that, those years, 07 and 08, and go back to 06 when they had the heartbreaker in the LCS in Game 7, that led to a dark time for the Mets, 09 through 14, until you had the pitchers come up, Harvey, Syndergaard, DeGrom, and then they have the great year, the great run in 2015, right? But it's to me, those heartbreakers, those collapses really set the franchise back. It's tough to recover from that psychologically as a franchise.
Yeah, I think that.
Right, so they missed the playoffs here. To me, I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen that way, but I think you run the risk of that. That's why I'm they just get in. Even if they get smoked by the Dodgers, then you'll just say, you know what? It was a bad year. They had no chance against the Dodgers. Whatever. Let's get to the offseason. But if you miss the playoffs, that's gonna stick with them.
Yeah. That, it could be dark. That could definitely go into some dark times if you miss the playoffs after what, as you said, after what transpired in the season. You don't make the playoffs, then you're then I mean you're sitting for the whole off season, and it could end up being treacherous for your team. Like really bad. You could lose again and again. And I think at least making the playoffs is good for, not good, but like it's feasible, and then you go into the off season and you make moves. And also I think the off season might feel a tiny bit better. Like you might not have to do some crazy moves that like you didn't really want to make, like panic moves.
Well, they're definitely going to have to make moves. You could make the argument the flip side, like if you miss the playoffs, then there'll be an even greater call for big moves to be made in the offseason versus if you make it. I think there'll be calls for big moves to be made regardless.
Yeah.
But somebody can say, well, you're better off missing the playoffs because it'll be even more of a call to make big changes. But I never believe in – I never buy an argument to say you're better off missing the playoffs. No, you're better off making the playoffs. You're always better off making the playoffs. And then psychologically for the franchise, they have to make the playoffs. I'm gonna say this. If the Mets miss the playoffs, I think it's going to have long-term effects on them. I think it's going to be one of those things that really sets the franchise back, where they thought they were on this path to being elite and path to going to the World Series and winning a World Series for the first time in a long time. I think they missed the playoffs here. It really sets them back.
Yeah, I mean, it could definitely set them back. I mean, they have the trajectory of, they want to be elite. Like you get Soto this offseason. I mean, you're in the phase of becoming like what you would say on paper as an elite team, but you're just, if you miss the playoffs this year, then you're just pushing yourself back.
Well, you just said it, Jack. They signed Juan Soto to basically $800 million. They gave him $800 million, and then they're going to go miss the playoffs after doing that. I'm not saying it's on him. That's not the point. The point is they gave $800 million to him, and I think it was the right move. But you're going to go miss the playoffs after doing that? And they brought back Alonso, and they put together.
Oh, and then he's going to go on the free. Yeah, then he's going to go on the free agency.
Yeah, he's back on the market, and you put together a good roster. I thought they should have done more with their pitching before the season started. I think a lot of people did, but they went in with a good roster. They went into the season with what people thought was probably a top 5 roster. I mean, people were predicting the Mets to have a really big year. That was how they were seen, and I think rightfully so on paper. And they were 45-24. It's not like the whole season was just this struggle, or they started the season bad. They got in like a 10-20 hole and had to dig out of it. They were 45-24. Really, this year was the opposite of last year for them. And last year you went into the season like they're not doing anything this year. And they went up going to the NLCS. That just shows you, like, you think we think we know what's going to happen, and we really don't.
Yeah.
But having said that, like, they play at the Cubs, who just got swept by the Reds, but you're still playing the Cubs. You're a good team. And then they go to the Marlins. So there it is, the Marlins at the end of the season, which doesn't bring back good memories for the Mets franchise. And then let's leave the D-backs out of it, because the D-backs play the Dodgers or the Padres. So that doesn't bode well from them. But look, there'll be a game back after today probably. That's a tough schedule. So let's say the Diamondbacks are not going to make it. But then the Mets again at Chicago Cubs, at Miami Marlins, and the Reds host the Pirates and go to Milwaukee. Now, the Pirates stink, so that's phenomenal for the Reds. And then the Brewers are really good, but the Brewers, let's see, the Brewers have a 2.5 game lead over the Phillies right now for the number 1 seed. So the Brewers are going to have a bye. They're locked into that. Be nice for them to have the 1 seed, but they might not be playing for anything come next weekend, right? So the Reds play the Brewers, but they might not be playing the Brewers because the Brewers might have everything locked up.
Yeah.
So
I think that's
we don't know how that's going to look next week. And now you could say, I'll say this. I heard somebody say this yesterday, talking about the teams with the buys. It makes sense. Like the teams with the buys maybe will play all their players, right? Because they're going to have some time off, so they want to keep their guys sharp. So I mean, there is like they're not going to sit guys the whole weekend. But I don't know, like maybe on Sunday, that last game, where Reds are playing the Brewers, and if you're a Mets fan, you'd really love for the Brewers to play their whole lineup. Like maybe that day they rest guys. So I don't know. What do you think of this last week coming up, considering the schedule and just overall?
Yeah, I think it definitely comes into perspective of who you play, because if you, as you said, if you play a team that's super like very good, that's going to make the playoffs, they're not going to play their players in that last series. Now the Mets play the Marlins, who probably will play their players.
Oh, the Marlins are going to play hard. The Marlins would love nothing more than to knock the Mets out. There's a history there. It's a division rival. The Marlins beat up on the Mets a couple weeks ago, right? They beat them 3 out of 4. They crushed them in 2 of those games. So the Marlins are going to want to knock the Mets out. So, I mean, to me, like the Mets, how could you have any confidence that they're going to do anything better than 3-3?
I mean,
like, could they even go 3-3 in these games the way they're playing? And I know you just never know in baseball. They did beat the Padres 2 out of 3, but then they lose to the Nationals 2 out of 3. So they went 3-3 this past week. So, like, can you really have any confidence that they can do better than that?
I don't know. I mean, they're gonna have to beat the They're gonna have to beat the Marlins, and they might even have to sweep them, because
I mean the Reds. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think you got to put the Reds in for at least 2 out of 3 against the Pirates. I mean, you want to say 2 out of 3, but let's just say this. Let's say the Reds go 3-3. So let's say the Reds somehow they go 3. They either like sweep the Pirates and get swept by the Brewers, or beat the Pirates 2 out of 3, lose 2 out of 3 to the Brewers. They go 3-3. Okay, so then the Mets need to go 4-2 because the Reds have the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I mean, the Mets are really gonna have to win some games this week, and they haven't done it the whole entire second half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like this week, like they're going to have to play winning baseball. Like they're going to have a winning week. 3-3 is not going to be enough. Because I mean, the Reds have won 5 in a row. They're on a run here. They're playing the awful Pirates. I mean, things happen, but like you can't bank on the Reds losing the series to the Pirates. You just can't. The Cubs are struggling. I mean, they lost 4 in a row. Okay, but the Cubs are good. You figure the Cubs are going to be tough in Wrigley to play. Again, the Marlins are tough. Like the Marlins started the season terribly, but they've been a good team for the last half of the season or so. It looks bleak, Jack. I've been saying they're going to make the playoffs. I'm backing off on that. I don't think they are.
It looks very up in the air.
Because I have no confidence that they could have a winning week. And I think that's what they're going to need. I think it's going to be, Cincinnati 2 out of 3 against Pittsburgh. Cincinnati gets a win in Milwaukee because maybe Milwaukee sits their guys the last day. The Reds just are able to pull one off there because they're playing for a playoff spot. Like, I'm just kind of like, all right, the Reds, I don't have a lot of confidence in the Reds. I'll say the Reds go 3-3. But again, that means the Mets have to go 4-2. And I don't see how anybody can have any confidence the Mets will go 4-2 have a winning week.
No, I mean, Mets are gonna have to. That's what's gonna come down to. Can the Mets win?
Yeah.
And they haven't won the second half of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's going to be very interesting to see where it's at a week from now when we're doing our next show, where this is all at. I'm going to say that the Mets are going to be done come next Sunday. That's going to be it. And again, I've been saying for a while, I know they'll make it. None of these other teams are any good. They'll find a way. But man, they've collapsed in a fashion that really is just catastrophically bad. So you want to spend a little bit of time on the Giants, previewing that game. Giants-Chiefs, both teams 0-2. You got Sunday Night Football at MetLife Stadium tonight.
Yeah, Sunday Night Football at MetLife. It is gonna be. I mean, it's gonna be a very interesting game. I mean, it's gonna be entertaining or not, but it's interesting. I think that the Giants. I think you could definitely say the Chiefs are gonna win, and there's definitely stuff hanging on that the Chiefs should win this game. But there's something about this game that I'm gonna go in with hope. I mean, I don't have anything else to go into with. I mean, I can't not go in with hope, but I have hope for this game. I think that the Chiefs have just been playing really, really bad. Mahomes has not looked good. They don't have. I mean, do they have? I don't know if they have Worthy or not. They don't have. I mean, they have Kelsey. Kelsey's looked really, a shell of himself. But who knows? But I definitely wouldn't put. And then they have Worthy out, so they don't really have a lot of weapons on the offense. But again, they do get it done. So
yeah, at what point do they not get it done? At what point is it the end of the rope for them? I don't think this is the end of the rope for them. But at what point do they have a down year? I don't think the Giants are going to win, but it's a 6-point spread. So it's not like the Chiefs come in here double-digit favorites. I mean, they're a 6-point favorite.
no, because they don't have their only weapon is Travis Kelsey, and I mean real weapon. I mean let's not. I mean these are NFL players, but their only real weapon is going to be Travis Kelsey, and who knows what Travis Kelsey is? I mean he's really looked like a shell of himself I mean, yeah, he's really looked like kind of a shell of himself.
Yeah.
And
I
same
tell
with
you, the Chiefs got to win this one because
Yeah.
then they host Baltimore next week. They go to Jacksonville. Okay, probably should win that, but Jacksonville is not terrible. But then they host Detroit. Yeah, so they better win this one. I mean, because then they're staring 0-4 in the face, even though they're hosting Baltimore. Baltimore could beat them in Kansas City. Yeah, I don't think the Giants have no chance here. But it's just tough getting the Chiefs at 0-2. And you figure that Mahomes and company will find a way. But I think it'll be a grind of a game. I think the Giants will be competitive in the game. It's their home opener. I think Giants fans will be into it. There'll be some buzz in the building. But I mean, could I see a Giants disaster tonight? Yeah, sure. But I think the Giants can be in the game. I think it'll be a game in the fourth quarter as well. I can't see the Giants winning it though. I can't see the Chiefs going 0-3, and their third loss in a row to start the year being against the Giants.
Yeah, I can't see that, but again, I'm gonna go in with hope because I mean right now the Chiefs The Chiefs are probably are the Chiefs and Cowboys right now as they are right now? Are they like how much better is the Chiefs than the Cowboys right now? Like
Oh, they're better than the Cowboys.
no, I mean like at this moment. Like
They're better. I mean, this will be a tougher game than last week's game.
yeah, I mean yeah, but if the Giants just have to be they have to play off not like how they played last game, but they have to try to build on it. I know no moral victories, but now we're looking in the next week and we're like, hey, look at what last week did. Can we build on that? I think that's definitely a fair way to think about it.
Yeah.
But because definitely there's nothing to build off of week one. So I think if you can build off of week two, and you kind of unlock neighbors. I mean,
Well, I think the Giants should be competitive in this game. I think it'd be a massive disappointment if they're not. Again, it's a 6-point spread. I mean, Kansas City's clearly the favorite, but it's not like Kansas City's coming in double-digit favorites. So the Giants. And I want to play the moral victory thing with Giants. And if they lose, they lose a heartbreaker tonight. Like, yeah, we can obviously like look at these. Oh, they played pretty well. Like just like the Jets the first week, like they played pretty well, but they still lost. So I definitely don't want to go moral victories here. But the Giants need to be highly competitive tonight. Like there's a real opportunity to do that. And again, you're at home too. So, if they were going into Kansas City, that'd be a different story. I think that would have been a tall task to be competitive in the game and not really get crushed. But I think in the Meadowlands, they need to be highly competitive in this game.
yeah, and I think they should be highly competitive because I mean the Chiefs just haven't been good this season. I mean they're
Yeah,
gonna.
it's
You
not
know what
like
I
the
mean?
Chiefs that got blown out though. I mean, they
Yeah,
lost 27-21 in Brazil to the Chargers and then 20-17 to the Eagles at home last week. So, I mean, they're not getting blown out. They lost to a good Chargers team and a really good Eagles team. I'm not making excuses for them. I mean, they are supposed to be the elite of the elite, so they are 0-2. But it's just a tall task for the Giants to win tonight. I mean, if they win, man, that'd be a heck of a win. But hey, it's a fascinating game. I mean, it really is. Like the NFL has a really interesting Sunday night game. Even though the Giants aren't a good team, it's a very interesting game with obviously with the Chiefs, with Mahomes, and everything they bring, and just them being 0-2. But then this Giants team that they are New York's team. I mean, the Jets are New York as well, but they are the New York team. So you have them in prime time at home. The Giants coming off that game against the Cowboys. Giants kind of being an interesting storyline.
yeah. Because also I
And
mean if they go 0-3, then I mean really like once they go 0-3, then I mean there's no real hype for any of their games. I mean, I think that
yeah, I mean, for the Giants, I don't think it's a matter of them saving their season because their season is going nowhere.
yeah.
But it's what progress are they making? How much progress are they going to make this year? So you need to see them play a very competitive game tonight. So yeah, like the Giants they're not a contender, but they are an interesting team. And then the Chiefs, of course, are highly interesting, and their season you could argue is on the line. They go 0-3.
And they lose
I
the
mean, it's tough.
Giants. I
It's
mean,
tough for anybody to come back from 0-3. I mean, historically, I don't know how many teams have been 0-3 and made the playoffs, but it's not many. If anybody could do it, it could be the Chiefs. But they go 0-3. I mean, they're really looking at a very disappointing season.
yeah, I mean, and you lose the Giants too. I mean, it's like not saying the Giants are really like worst team ever, but like you're supposed to be lead up the lead, and the Giants are supposed to be like thinking about next year's draft. Like, I mean, I don't think about it, but they should be in a mode where they're supposed to lose a lot of games.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on the Chiefs tonight.
Yeah.
But they're a team that handles pressure. Like I don't think the
Yeah.
pressure of playing the Giants is going to get to them, but there is
No.
pressure. I mean, they're supposed to win this game. So yeah, honestly, Jack, I see a bonus game. The Giants will be in it. It'll be competitive, but at the end, I think Mahomes and company are going to be able to get their first victory.
Yeah. We'll see. I definitely am gonna go in with hoping that the Giants could definitely come out here and shock some people and win the game. I think at the end of the day, the Giants are gonna have to play smarter than they did last game down the stretch.
Yeah, that's the problem down the stretch. Like, how are they going to play down the
Yeah.
stretch in a game like this, going up against this dynasty? That's what's tough. Like again, I can see the Giants being competitive in the game for 3 quarters, even into the fourth quarter. But how do they handle a tight game, end of the game? I just don't have any confidence in them. Given what we saw last week, they did make plays down the stretch, but they also gave things away down the stretch. So that's what's tough. I mean, for them they win this game tonight. I mean, that's a monumental upset. Again, even
And
though,
it's,
like I said, like the spread is only 6, it's still a monumental upset. The Giants win. If
well, yeah, and it's a
double
Chiefs.
digit spread, it would have been beyond monumental. But for the Giants to win this game, like that would be a massive shock in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a good watch. I think that's fascinating because it's gonna be a shock, but also like I mean, there's a world where it could happen. Like I mean, it's not like all these other shocks where it's like whoa, like I never could see this coming. I mean, they're gonna keep it
I
competitive.
I feel there'd be more of a chance if Kansas City was 1-1 or 2-0, but them coming in 0-2 with that desperation, that really hurts the
But I
Giants.
mean, are they 0-2 for a reason though? Like that's the thing that I'm going. They're 0-2 for a reason.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's
They're
just a
coming in
team
2
like
and 0. I mean, they're
a team
coming
like
in
that
with
that's 0-2. That they're a good team. They're the
yeah,
Chiefs. I
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
how good they are this year, but they're good and they're veteran and they're a dynasty. A team like that 0-2, like you would think they're going to get it done in this spot. They're not going to go to 0-3, and they're not going to go to 0-3 playing against the Giants. If they were going to Baltimore tonight or Buffalo, I'll be like, ooh, they're staring 0-3 in the face. But they're
Yeah, I
going.
mean, it's something against the Giants because even if they were going to go and play like a team that's even in the wild card hunt or something, like they would still come out there and really like play and like probably beat them, like because they're going to be playing
Yeah,
the
I mean, if
hot.
the Chiefs are going to play the Jets tonight, it'd be the same thing. It's like, okay, the Chiefs aren't going to lose to the Jets. You can name a bunch of teams. Like, there's nothing against the Giants. It's just these, whether it's a mediocre team or a bad team. I just think in this spot, the Chiefs are not going to lose that game. They're too good to go 0-3. But we shall see. I guess more shocking things have happened in sports, so it will be very interesting tonight. Any final thoughts, Jack, as we go into this Sunday night game and then this very interesting week in baseball coming up?
No, just hope the Mets make the playoffs and let's see if the Giants can make a big upset. I mean, it's not out of the cards as we've said. I mean, like it's not like a 1-15 team going against like a 16-0 team. Like this is a matchup where you could see where an upset could happen. But I mean, there's a world where, as you said, they get it done.
Yeah, it will be interesting. And yeah, like my final thoughts is with the baseball again. I'm backing off the Mets making the playoffs. I think they're out now. It's been so bad, and the schedule doesn't bode well. This last week doesn't bode well. So I think we're looking at talking about a total Mets collapse. Next week and the coming weeks as well. So that'll wrap us up for tonight, Jack. Next week we'll be back at it, and we are inching closer to the NBA. The training camp is opening up
Yeah.
soon, so we'll have a lot of Knicks talk and NBA talk coming up real soon.
See ya.
See you.